Hello, welcome to HITC Sport, and make no mistake about it, your fan base is desperately praying that somebody summer transfer fails this season. A transfer that's happened, which has the capability of making everyone involved at your football club look like they have cauliflower for brains. Trust me, alright? I'm gonna take a look at every Premier League club and find the one transfer that's happened this summer that you are actively praying fails. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Tammy Abraham to Roma. Yeah. Tammy Abraham rejected Arsenal this summer. We live in a world where a 23-year-old English footballer turned down the chance to continue living in swanky London, surrounded by friends and family, to instead go and move to Rome, to join a team who finished 7th in Serie A, to live in a country that just deprived your friends of the Euro 2020 title. I mean, to be fair, being given an opportunity to work under Jose Mourinho, one of the world's most genius football brains, or Mikel Arteta, some guy who's got the tactical inside of a wet sausage roll, I think was actually an easy choice. But to be fair, it wasn't all Tammy. I mean, the move to Arsenal was also blocked because the club couldn't sell Alexander Lacazette. So imagine the Frenchman lumbers about like a walking bowl of porridge this season, limply scores 7 goals for a mid-table Arsenal, while Abraham batters in 25 goals for Roma whilst lifting the Scudetto. You'll very quickly have Arsenal fans beating their head against a toilet bowl. The entire Gunners board need to pray that Tammy fails in Italy. Aston Villa and Ramsdale to Arsenal. To be fair, the position of goalkeeper is the least of Aston Villa's problems. Yes, I mean, seeing their former walking cabbage Pierluigi Collini succeed at Tottenham would be a bit annoying, but they've got a Copa America winning Argentine #1 between the sticks, so they're not really going to care. With Aaron Ramsdale though, Aston Villa fans want him to fail, just so they can continue to laugh at Arsenal. Don't forget, Villa tried to buy Ramsdale from Sheffield United last summer, and considering he just played last season as if he had a pair of broken wrists, showing the flexibility of a farmyard pig in a yoga class, I mean, they're relieved they went and bought Emiliano Martinez instead. And now, watching Arsenal toss Martinez away as if his face was made of dog poo, to see them replace him with a 23-year-old goalkeeper whose career stats, honestly. Alright, okay, honestly, if there's any Arsenal fans watching this video on their phone in a public place, then please click off the video, especially if you're sitting on a bus, because once you hear what I'm about to tell you, you're probably gonna vomit your breakfast all over the old lady sitting in the front row. Right, okay, here it is. Aaron Ramsdale has played 4 seasons of professional football as a #1 goalkeeper for 4 different clubs. Right, 24th in League 2 with Chesterfield, 20th in League 1 with Wimbledon, 20th in the Premier League with Bournemouth, and 20th in the Premier League with Sheffield United. So replacing Martinez, Messi's teammate, with this English ham sandwich, oh lads, if he has another rotten season from hell, dropping clangers every 6.5 minutes at the Emirates Stadium, then Villa fans are going to laugh until their tonsils turn blue. Brighton nobody. Good news, Brighton. As a football club, you have no bitterness in your hearts. Nothing. There's nobody you really want to see fall flat on their face, other than your racist granny when you take away your cane. So, I don't know, just moving on. Burnley, Danny Ings, Aston Villa. Pretty simple this. Don't get it wrong. When Danny Ings was belting in nearly 50 goals for Southampton in 100 games, Burnley fans would not have enjoyed it. At least when he was a wet, injury-stained at Anfield, it wasn't so bad. But seeing him morph into a 20-goal-a-season striker, they'll probably feel a bit sick that they only received an £8 million fee for when they sold him in 2015. So again, seeing him turn it on for a European champion like Aston Villa, it won't be nice for Burnley fans to watch. Chelsea, Achraf Hakimi to PSG. Make no mistake about it, Chelsea wanted Achraf Hakimi from Inter Milan. And to be fair, the Moroccan right wing back would have been perfect in Thomas Tuchel's system. But considering the class of Reece James, I don't think Chelsea will really regret losing him to PSG. But if the French lads wind up winning the European Cup, ripping it out of Chelsea's hands, and if James suddenly forgets how to play the sport, instead stumbling about like a fat Glenn Johnson, then yeah, then the fans will be utterly fuming. Crystal Palace, Michy Batshuayi to Besiktas. Crystal Palace cannot score goals. I think that's pretty clear so far. Listen, I'm convinced after 2 different loan spells at Sellers Park, Michy Batshuayi would have jumped at the chance to play under Patrick Vieira this season. I just have a feeling that while on at Besiktas, he is going to morph into a Super League goal machine. I have no doubt that this former £30 million Chelsea superstar is going to win the Golden Boot with 30 goals. Yes, I know it's only in Turkey, but this has happened before. You know, when Alexander Sorloth battered in 24 goals for Trabzonspor while on loan from Crystal Palace. Seeing their Norwegian pencil spend that year linked with Real Madrid while they kept watching Christian Benteke repeatedly spoon over from 6 yards out every week. Oh, that would have been annoying, especially when they had gambins like me on the internet telling them they made a mistake. That would have been annoying. But lads, if they wind up relegated this season due to a lack of goals, while Batshuayi gets labelled the Turkish Batman on a weekly basis, then Vieira is honestly gonna feel like punching himself in the teeth. Everton, Alessandro Florenzi to AC Milan. Last year, Everton were close to signing Alessandro Florenzi on loan from Roma. They didn't, and the Italian ring back wound up at PSG instead. Again, the guy who's just joined AC Milan now, on loan at 30 years of age. They'll probably hope he fails. Leeds, Ben White to Arsenal. Ben White will forever be the one that got away. This guy who shone on loan for Leeds in the Championship, and despite clawing their way back to Premier League status, it would have been a punch to the club's ego that a club of their size still weren't able to prize a defender away from Brighton and Hove Albion. I mean, this is Leeds. Has anyone seen the damn United? Ask Brian Clough to compare the size of Leeds and Brighton. The way he spoke about poor lowly Brighton, you'd swear they played their games inside a caravan. So if Ben White does prove to be a £50 million England star at Arsenal, I know it's unlikely. He's most likely going to be an expensive Rob Holding who has the aerial threat of Philippe Senderos combined with a slice of toast. But if, for example, he winds up being an Arsenal legend, then I'd imagine for Leeds, this would be like when they were forced to watch Rio Ferdinand emerge into a world star at Old Trafford. I mean, every time they see Rio's face, Leeds fans probably get ulcers in their mouth. Leicester, Demarai Gray to Everton. Leicester sold Demarai Gray to Bayer Leverkusen for £1.8 million. That is it. Now he's back in the Premier League with Everton, and I'm sorry, he could prove himself to be one of Brendan Rodgers' biggest ever mistakes. If he catches fire under Rafa Benitez this season and finally realizes his potential, you know, chipping in with 10 goals and 10 assists. I mean, it's not that unrealistic. Ryan Fraser did something similar. Then Rodgers allowing him to leave for actual couch change while continuing to keep a £30 million lump of wet shampoo in the squad in the shape of Ayotte Perez. Oh, then questions are going to be asked. Liverpool, Patson Daka to Leicester. Patson Daka moving to Leicester for £27 million from Red Bull Salzburg was a bit of a surprise because for about 6 weeks straight, Erling Haaland's former strike partner looked odds on to sign for Liverpool. Listen, I think the Zambian is going to be a massive big money flop at Leicester, but if the worst happens and he morphs into the African Jamie Vardy and utterly rips the Premier League to shreds, then Liverpool choosing not to sign him is gonna look pretty bad. But to be fair, Liverpool didn't sign Timo Werner last summer, and he wound up looking about as threatening as Paddington Bear. So I think it's gonna be a similar story here. Man City, Jadon Sancho to Man United. Man City can have all the money in the world, but don't get me wrong, it will annoy the fans of Manchester City that their city rivals currently have one of their academy prospects in the team. I mean, let's get it right. Jadon Sancho is a much better footballer than Jack Grealish. And guess what? He was £30 million cheaper for a guy nearly half a decade younger. If Grealish winds up being another Bernardo Silva, you know, a good player but nowhere near world class, while Sancho emerges into Manchester United's most exciting winger since Ronaldo, then yeah, it's going to be embarrassing for Man City. Man United, Romelu Lukaku to Chelsea.
Manchester United will regret selling Lukaku.
Yeah. 2 years later, and I stand by my tweet, now more than ever. It's funny how perception changes. 2 years ago, apparently Romelu Lukaku was an overweight problem child with an illegal first touch, a flat track bully, a waste of love handles, something Manchester United apparently needed to chuck into the biggest fireplace they could find. That was what the media wrote about Lukaku. It's funny, 2 years later, and the English media now talk him up as if he's the missing piece in Chelsea's jigsaw. I mean, last week I heard someone tip him for the Ballon d'Or. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad he's finally getting the respect he deserves. He's an elite centre forward, and I think Chelsea will win the league this season with him banging in 20 plus goals. And when that happens, this tweet will never look more accurate than now. Newcastle, Adam Armstrong to Southampton. Don't get it wrong, Newcastle United are praying that Adam Armstrong flops to Southampton. It's embarrassing enough that Ivan Toney has emerged into a credible Premier League threat after being viewed as some sort of rotten egg sandwich while he was at Newcastle. So the last thing the club needs right now is for Adam Armstrong to turn into the next Danny Ings at Southampton. This is a 24-year-old striker who spent 12 years at Newcastle before being sold to Blackburn for less than £2 million. I think he'll flop, but if he doesn't, and he outscores Callum Wilson, it will be embarrassing. Lads, Newcastle sold Armstrong for less than the £1.8 million loan fee they paid Tottenham to borrow an overweight Danny Rose for 10 games. Lads, they spent more than 30 times what they received for Armstrong on Joe Linton. Ridiculous. Norwich, Christopher Ajer to Brentford. Yeah, it's no secret that Norwich City wanted Christopher Ajer from Celtic this summer, only to be gazumped by Brentford. Yeah, considering Norwich mostly defend like a bunch of drunken lemurs, they're going to hope that the 23-year-old Norwegian defender does not become the next Virgil van Dijk sold by Celtic. I mean, instead, being forced to watch the comedy stylings of Ben Gibson at the heart of their defence, I don't think they would cope. Southampton, Arnaut Danjuma to Villarreal. Southampton spent all of last season sniffing around Arnaut Danjuma from Bournemouth. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. The last time you saw him in the Premier League with the Cherries, he had the end product of a coffee-stained tea towel. Well, that's 17 goals in the Championship last season. Clearly, he has something, and he's just moved to Villarreal for £25 million. If he explodes in La Liga, Southampton fans are going to feel viciously furious that they did not try harder to sign him last season, instead choosing to waste time by loaning Takumi Minamino for a few months. I mean, what was the point of that? Tottenham, Jack Grealish to Man City. Tottenham were the only club to ever put in a few bids for Jack Grealish while he was in the Championship, and now he's just been sold for £100 million. If Tottenham had just chucked in a £30 million bid for him in 2018, they could very realistically have a front three of Grealish, Kane and Son. So if Grealish does live up to the hype this season, Daniel Levy is going to be sick to his teeth. Watford, Ashley Young to Aston Villa. Yeah. Watford tried to sign Ashley Young this summer. Ashley Young wanted to sign for Watford, and yet somehow he's wound up back at Villa Park. I'm pretty sure each and every Watford fan will act like it's 2007 and desperately hope for that man to fail. West Ham, Fikayo Tomori to AC Milan. Yeah, West Ham tried to sign Fikayo Tomori on loan from Chelsea last season. Now he's since moved to a European giant like AC Milan, while David Moyes is forced to go for Plan B and Kurt Zouma. Listen, Zouma is a guy who's actually played well for Chelsea, but anytime he's been out on loan to a mid-table team like Stoke or Everton, he just sort of, he's nothing special. He just like a bit of a French Ryan Shawcross. Zouma is a guy who shines when surrounded by top class players, so don't expect him to do much standing beside Craig Dawson in defence. So yeah, if the worst happens and Tomori winds up being a Serie A winning defender while Zouma stumbles about the London Stadium looking like a drugged up traffic cone, then yeah, the Hammers won't be happy. Wolves, Michael Olise to Crystal Palace. Michael Olise is a 19-year-old midfielder pinched from Reading by Crystal Palace this summer for £8 million. This is a teenage kid who's already been on the books of both Chelsea and Man City, so clearly he has talent. And Wolves, they've been trying to sign him for years. They had a £5 million bid rejected, so if he has the same impact at Sellers Park that Ebreki Eze had last season, then yeah, Wolves fans will be furious. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what do you think? What one player are you going to be utterly so angry if they do well this season? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.